Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for October 2nd. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday. The Big Brother 26 live feeds. It was day 78 in the house, and quick day. Quick day to talk about. But luckily, with me to talk about it is Cory. How you doing, Cory?
I'm doing great, Taran. I love doing live feed updates, chatting with you, talking about the game. But this one could be an email,
Maybe it is an email.
honestly.
Maybe this is the future of email.
Yeah, reality TV newsletter just submits MJ made a cake. And we can all move on with our lives. But we're here, so we'll talk.
Yes, in fun news, I'm seeing that the Kellis plushies are arriving that people ordered from the beginning of the season. So that's very exciting.
It's huge. Just in time for the end game.
Exactly. All right. Well, of course, as we know, MJ is the HOH. She also won the veto. She contemplated taking a shot at Cam, but ultimately Cam was able to talk her down a bit. And she did not use the veto. And that's where we are with Kimo as the target. Cam did tell Kimo that he wanted to keep him, but that they had to convince Chelsie and MJ. So we were expecting maybe some movement on that front. As you may have noticed by the beginning of this update, not a lot of movement on that front. So, stay tuned on that. The schedule for this season tends to be let's wait until Wednesday night to start talking about the decision again. But at this point, I'm starting to think it's probably not happening.
Kimo's waiting for AI Arena to finish, and then he's going to gather the what I love so much about this campaign by Kimo, and it's a very generous use of the word campaign, is people are telling him they want to keep him. It's like the classic case of he's eventually going to get to the point where he has to get them in a room together. But there's only two people to get into a room together. So I think if they try to do the whole, I want to keep you, but I don't know about Chelsie. I want to keep you. I don't know about Cam. If it was anyone but Kimo, they'd obviously see through it. But because it's Kimo, I don't think he wants to go through the effort of trying to get people into a room. So I think this is where we're at.
I mean, he could get them into a room so that they could sing a song. Could be fun.
Good one.
All right. Well, MJ does talk to Chelsie about Cam again. She didn't use the veto, and she's not planning to target him now. Obviously, he's not on the block. But she is thinking about wait a minute. It's almost as if from MJ, she wanted to target Cam because it made sense for her game. Then came up with the reason, or maybe because she sees Cam as closer to Chelsie or whatever the case may be. She wanted to target Cam. She came up with the reason of he's throwing competitions. That's why we need to get him out. Then he was like, yeah, but I'm not throwing competitions. She was like, oh, damn, he's not throwing competitions. I guess we'll keep him. Then after she didn't use the veto, realized, wait a minute, I wanted him out anyway. And is now back to so Chelsie, at the final four, how are we feeling about Cam?
Yeah, well, look, I competed in the Big Brother Comics competition, and 30 minutes is insane, Taran. I can't express. It is one of those competitions that could kind of snowball. You get one or two things wrong, you don't know what's wrong, and then you change things that are right. And I could understand how the time would get up there, but 30 minutes does feel like he's going into the DR and giggling about how he's throwing the competition and nobody knows, because the problem is everyone else competed. They think so lowly of Kimo and Rubina's comp ability, and they beat him by 10 minutes. So I do understand that perspective. And from MJ, it's I couldn't even tell you if getting rid of Cam is the right move. I think there's a lot of merit to it. If she feels like her only winning endgame is against Kimo and Rubina, you might as well get rid of one of the people who can beat you. But you would have alienated Chelsie in that regard. And then honestly, for Chelsie, does it make more sense to go with the trio at that point as opposed to going against you?
I think Chelsie was on board. I think that was the key to it, that Chelsie seemed on board.
I think when it comes to Chelsie and Cam, I want to let opinions settle for a day before I think anything is definitive. I don't think Chelsie would have settled on getting rid of Cam, mostly because that's like an asinine, ridiculous, indefensible move for me, and I think a little bit too highly of Chelsea's game for that.
Well, that's sort of the topic here, though, is that MJ is basically working on Chelsie again to try to get Chelsie to be down to make the move on Cam at 4. It's talking about like, hey, I feel like Cam next week. What are you thinking? What are you thinking between Cam and Rubina? Because, if we're looking at final 3 and we're looking to get the 2 of us to the end, are we really going to take Cam over Rubina? I feel like Rubina's easier to beat. And there's a little bit of resistance here. Chelsea's like, I feel like they're equivalent. They're both really bad. But it does seem like MJ makes some progress here, as evidenced by the fact that Chelsie is going to sort of, again, after this, go and talk to the cameras and be like, this Cam guy, if he starts winning next week, I swear to God, I know he's throwing competitions.
If he starts winning next week, I'm going to give him a big kiss on the lips. Like, what do you mean?
No, she's like, she'll be upset. Like, she'll be annoyed if he starts winning now.
I know. And then an hour later, like, I think, especially, okay, let's talk about Cam and Rubina in the final 3 HOH. I think both of them have about the same chances of winning everything. That endurance comp, Cam's been good. Rubina's been pretty good. Call that a wash. Part 2, I think Cam's been studying a hair more, but he also got 30 minutes in BB Comics. Like, I think your decision of Cam, Rubina, and obviously MJ and Chelsie are pushing for different things for their own games. The comp factor, I don't think matters. I think Chelsea's right in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just literally the only thing to talk about today. So, it's interesting to me, the idea that MJ does seem to make some progress here with Chelsie. Chelsea's frustration with Cam in the camera talks seems to indicate that, like, that MJ is onto something, and that there's some chance that she can get Chelsie to, at the very least, be okay with sending Cam out the door. This obviously matters because there's only 3 competitors for the final 4 HOH. It's Cam, Chelsie, and Rubina, assuming Kimo leaves. With that in mind, if MJ is looking to take the shot at Cam, Chelsie being okay with it matters, because if Chelsea's not okay with it, I'm not sure MJ cuts Cam. Then Chelsie being the HOH also matters. So let's say Chelsea's the HOH and she wins the veto as well. She then chooses who votes. We know that Cam wants to take out MJ. We know that MJ wants to take out Cam. She's not going to give the vote to Rubina. So who does she give the vote to? She has to make a decision. And that also really matters, right? So it's setting up this final 4 to potentially be a little bit interesting in terms of what kinds of decisions are made. And given that Chelsie obviously, I would say, almost straight up wins the game if both MJ and Cam are in the final 3 with her, like, how hard does she push to make that happen? Can she make that happen? Or does she not want that to happen, is kind of like the big question right now.
Yeah, I think I was always often maligned in my season for always talking about the worst case scenario, no matter what the circumstances are. And I think when you're in Chelsea's dominant position at this point, you have to start thinking worst case scenario almost exclusively. So we're going into the final 4. And is there any path where she gets evicted? I think what scares her the most is like a Cam HOH Rubina veto is her fear.
Quite frankly, a Rubina veto, I think she needs to worry about. Because I don't think Rubina's evicting Cam regardless. I don't think that. I guess you're right, though, because specifically, if Rubina's the HOH, she can't decide. And then if she's the HOH, so it is actually, you're right. It is specifically a Cam HOH Rubina veto.
Now, if only Rubina knew the days, because that, like, there's a little bit of drama that could really happen next week, and the odds of it are not that low. There's only so many competitors, but it's going to be a days comp, and I don't see a world where Chelsie doesn't win it, because she's visibly, to us, maybe there's a secret camera 5 where Rubina's counting the days. But it feels like that level of possibility is kind of out of the window. But, like, even if Chelsie makes, in my opinion, the incorrect decision, gets rid of Cam at 4. It's Rubina MJ. That could still also be checkmate. I think the only problem there is like Rubina has recognized Chelsea's threat level. Has she recognized that she could beat MJ? I don't know about that.
I mean, given how Kimo and Rubina are talking, and this could change, but given how they're talking now, I do think Rubina would pick MJ over Chelsie.
Yeah.
And that's obviously very dangerous. One thing about this season has been that the competitions have been a lot more equitable. We've talked about that a lot, of course. But basically, how the competitions progressed over the years in Big Brother is that it started with the end game, that the competitions were a lot more reliably winnable, right? And then it spread out to the whole season. This end game is starting to, I mean, it's obvious, right? We're getting these classic comps. The primary one, the one that is the most reliably winnable, has always been the final 3 HOH. It's always 2 physical comps with some mental component in the second one, followed by the what used to be a crapshoot, but is now a quiz, which makes it eminently more winnable. What that means is that you can kind of plan for the end game and make it more predictable, and so you can basically assume that Rubina is not going to win this, and that you don't have to worry about that outcome as much. But this season has been different. We don't know for sure that they're going to follow that same end game path, and what that means for Chelsie is you kind of do have to worry about somebody like Rubina clutching out a Final 4 veto or a Final 3 HOH win, because that's what used to happen on Big Brother. These random people that you didn't think could win competitions would then go on to win. In Big Brother Canada, Paris can win a bunch of endgame comps. And all of a sudden, you find yourself out the door or losing the game. And so, ideally, you'd want Chelsie to be really locking down Rubina here. And instead, MJ is the one doing it, which is kind of wild, but that could change.
Yeah, just a quick narrative of my season is like America and I had a lot of real conversations. This is my plan moving forward of bringing Sarit 3 for the sole reason of she can't win part 1 or 2. America can't cut me for Sarit because she'll lose. And again, you kind of get in that checkmate position. And I think like for Chelsie, I still give her and MJ, like, I don't care what competition you design. I give them both a 70 to 75% chance of beating Rubina in that competition. But that 25, 30% is like a real danger to them. Let's take it back, Taran, because I'm sure this has been a big subject of debate in all these updates. They're very scared of the Rubina Cam thing, right? Mm-hmm. They seem closer than they actually are. They might be overstating that a little bit, at least from Cam's side. Why are we not voting out Rubina here? Is it just Kimo's a bigger jury threat?
That's part of it. I think they're also worried about Kimo and Cam. I think that Cam has a good relationship with both at this point. Yeah. They also think Kimo's a better competitor. They also feel like they have a stronger pull on Rubina because of the women's thing. So I think like in their minds, it wouldn't surprise me if in like the back of their minds, they were like, in the worst case scenario where Rubina wins a comp, we'll really guilt her about the women stuff. I don't think it'll work, but I think that they feel like at least there's something there, whereas with Kimo, they've got nothing.
I think Rubina's done a much better job than Kimo, to be fair. Like, I don't want to give it all just like Rubina's tried, which is funny because earlier in the season, I feel like Kimo was the one campaigning for Rubina when Rubina was not trying to save herself. So like when it comes to this trio, Kimo, Rubina, and shout outs T-Core, they kind of have ebbs and flows of who the player is. And in the end game, it seems like Rubina is that player. I wonder if part of it is Kimo feels like he's dead in the water. And he's kind of felt like he was dead in the water for 6 weeks now. Whereas Rubina still, I guess, has hope. My last kind of thing I wanted to bring up, first of all, about this Chelsie MJ conversation. Did you catch MJ soft accepting being cut by Chelsie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like, it would be a really smart move, and I get it, and I'd feel blessed. Chelsea's like, that's good, okay.
And don't forget, I'm not unaware. I'm not unaware of the fact that it would be very smart to cut me.
It wouldn't be, though. Like, I think, honestly, and there's no ounce of me that believes MJ is thinking this way. Part of me, if I was Chelsie, would be concerned of, like, is she trying to like get me to say it's okay back? Am I supposed to say, yeah, no, I know cutting me would be a good thing too? Because what's been so fascinating about MJ in this end game is when you have someone like a Bowie Jane who's not going to make self-interested decisions at the end of the game, you very rarely see like them verbally rationalizing their decision. And you can tell MJ knows almost at every step of this whole process from getting Leah out. She kind of knows it's all wrong, but she's hoping it's not.
It's very like it's not the same thing, but it's like for the person, I think it's a similar situation to when Rubino told T-Core straight up, like, we're your shields. And it's like, yes, but you're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to say that to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only other piece of drama through the day was what Cory referred to earlier, which was that Chelsie said that she planned to kiss Cam at the RHAP party by surprise, I guess. And then Cam like walked in and was like, what are you guys talking about? What's this plan you're talking about? And they were like, oh, we're not going to tell you. And he was like, no, tell me. And then that was like a whole thing through the night.
That would mess up the surprise aspect of the surprise kiss, Taran. They can't tell him.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me say, I'm very upset I'm not going to be in LA because that was the plan for a while and I'm not. So I might miss this elaborate ruse. But I can see a funny scenario where Chelsie wins Big Brother 26 after 90 days of fighting, scheming, playing her heart out, being rewarded with $750K, going to the finale party, which is hosted at someplace that isn't Todrick's house, goes in for the kiss, gets rejected, and she has a terrible night. She wins $750K, cements herself as a Big Brother legend, and like wants to go to her hotel room early.
I'm just imagining the world where her and Cam are in the final two. She walks out to confetti, goes to kiss Cam with the confetti going, and he's like, "Oh," and then she walks sadly to like the front of the stage, Jackson Mickey style.
Hugs her family. I don't actually like him. I guess the last kind of interesting thing I haven't heard talked about too much is
when he pops her nose.
He whispers in her ear, "You still got a chance." I don't know. Look, here's what I'll say. Surprise kiss, I don't think is ever a good move as your opening move. But apparently, again, Taran, on camera 5, they've been having lots of chats about their lives after the game. So
listen, if Quinn and Leah taught us anything, it's never doubt. You know?
Exactly.
Except if he says no, and then in which case, please doubt.
Please. Especially on this network. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because I don't think it's been talked about too much, we talked a lot about Kimo being like a low-key jury threat and how he could just win if he gets to the end. He most likely would win. Do you think Rubina carries any... Like if Rubina gets to the end with MJ, I think it's tight. With Chelsie, it's not competitive, is the thought?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Kimo being the jury threat is that he not only had T-Core and Rubina, but he also had Angela. And that makes 3 of 7, right?
He could have a shot at Leah too, whereas Rubina can't.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say, which is that Rubina does not have the Angela connection that Kimo does. And Leah was never like a huge fan of Rubina either. And so I think she has a much harder time getting those votes. And then for what it's worth, Rubina also never had the Quinn connection. Like he was kind of annoyed when she tried to give him the jury duty bracelet, whereas on his way out, he was like, Kimo, you're a special person. I love you. I hope you win this game. So those are 3 votes, right?
To Angela, her goodbye message.
Oh, no, I didn't.
It was not good, Taran. It was like, sad to see you go. I know you wanted to be here, but we all want to be here and we all deserve to be here. We've talked about that. So have fun and jury. It's like someone
honestly,
posted,
I heard it was terrible. I was expecting worse, but it's certainly bad.
Like, I can't do it justice. Someone on Twitter said they need to do a deep dive into Rubina's jury management parentheses negative because there's no like she's making the bad jury management out of thin air. Like she's not betraying people. She's just forcing the issue. The one like MJ Rubina, I think is a little bit interesting. I think Rubina still gets her 2 votes.
Yeah.
And then are there people who are anti MJ votes? It feels like MJ got Leah back for what it's worth those last couple days.
Yeah.
Quinn, I think was annoyed at MJ's dumb move, but if she gets to the end, the move doesn't seem as dumb.
I think if she gets to the end without Cam or Chelsie, Quinn says, I give it up. You chose the right path, you know?
Okay. Even if Rubina cuts Chelsie?
If Rubina's the one to cut Chelsie, that's definitely a different story. And that is probably the only way it happens. So that's a good point. I mean, the thing is though, that like, and you actually might have some insight on this, but like, because we talked a lot about like, it should matter whether Jag takes Matt or Matt takes Jag, right? Like in other seasons of the show, it's been like, well, if John takes Netta or Netta takes John, we're giving it to whoever takes the other one because they're stupid. But you guys seem to like not care at all if he was taken or if he was cut or whatever.
Yeah, the math of our season was very confusing in that regard because when it came to Matt versus Jag, in the house, Matt thought he would beat Jag and Jag thought he would lose to Matt. So with that knowledge, Jag taking Matt is super dumb and Matt taking Jag is fine because he has a good feeling he'd beat him anyways. In the jury house, we all knew for the most part Jag would beat Matt and we knew Matt would lose to Jag. So we thought reverse to the way they thought. If Jag came to the final 2 and said, I think I'm going to lose to Matt, again, final 2, does it actually change things? Probably not. But for us, Jag could take whoever he wants because he's going to get the votes because that was the perception. Matt taking Jag would have been Cody taking Derek.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah. So, I mean, I would think you would assume but this jury is complicated too, because I would imagine that, you know, Rubina, if she's there, is not going to be seen as a Bowie Jane, like obviously never going to win because she does have 2 guaranteed votes on the jury. So like, I don't even know if you think like, oh, well, it's obvious you cut Rubina or, you know, I don't know. I feel like you've got to say you've got to cut Chelsie though. So if it's like, if anybody brings Chelsie, I feel like that I mean, Chelsea's there anyway, but like, I guess the question is, does it matter who cuts Chelsie enough? Like if you are thinking, hey, I think MJ can win, but only if she's not there with Chelsie. And then Chelsie shows up at the final 3. Does it really matter to you if she goes, yeah, Rubina cut me? Because I think in your head, you're probably thinking, well, MJ might have also cut her. We don't know.
I think you can almost like commandeer that move though in the final 3. Like if Rubina cuts Chelsie, MJ could then make the argument of like, it's MJ. I don't think she's going to do that. But a lot of that does come down to how you frame it. And also it comes down to who's in the jury. And I don't think Leah is doing this flow chart in her head of like, if this person cuts this person, like, I don't think that part of it really matters. It's such a rush on finale day. And honestly, everyone in jury is just thinking about getting their phones back. Like I can't express, like I cared a lot about the sanctity of the game and casting my vote. And also I didn't care that much on finale night because I wanted to leave. So I think like, I don't think if anyone's vote changes based on speeches. That's a very common thing, except in this season, honestly. But I do think like it's almost overstated how many votes would change based on these different final 3 outcomes. What I will say is cutting Chelsie might be a game-winning move for anybody. If Cam cuts Chelsie, if MJ cuts Chelsie, if Rubina cuts Chelsie, even if they would have lost against the other person, maybe that tilts the odds in their favor.
Yeah,
but you lose Chelsea's vote, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Like stuff.
All right. Well, anything else, Cory?
No, that's it. Oh, MJ made a cake, and then she didn't have enough space to finish her writing on the cake, so she had to make it again.
Classic.
What do you think?
What do I think about the cake?
Yeah, give me your thoughts. Let's dive into it.
I'm not really a cake guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it shows.
It does. All right. Well, that's, of course, what we have for you today. I will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 26 live feeds, including if anything ever happens with Kimo. The comics were released. There's no episode tonight, but we'll see them tomorrow. So we'll go over all of the comics after the episode and the recap. I'm sure better time to do that there. And yeah, again, no episode tonight. So I will be. I plan to be live at least for Survivor tonight over on Twitch if you want to come and hang out with me over there. And in the meantime, stay tuned for tomorrow night's recap. 2 hours of Big Brother, catching up from the lack of episode tonight, I suppose. And the Circle finale just dropped today, so we have coverage for that as well. Fun stuff there. It was a good season. Good season at the Circle. Cory, what do you got going on?
I stream on twitch.tv/Cory Wurtenberger, patreon.com/AmeriCory. We're doing the Big Brother 7 rewatch. Season 6 just won a 4th HOH in a row. I wonder if they're going to target floaters again. And finally, I've got my Big Brother 26 finale event in Nashville, me, Bowie, and America. We got about 20 tickets left. So if you're in the area, I think the best place to go is Bowie's social media. You'll find all those links over there.
All right. Well, that's it then. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.